We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you need just a little bit of extra college football content to get you through the days, to get you through the nights, subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button. If you like our content, share the video with your family and friends, your psychiatrist, your priest, share it with your significant others, share it across your social media platforms. Welcome into the house that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. My question for tonight: what is going on? What is going on? I don't understand any of it. Monavision's in the house. He's tried to explain it to me. Other people have been very patient. Greg, this is all just illegal maneuvers. I don't understand anything. I don't understand what San Diego State's doing. They're not in a better spot now than they were a week ago before before June 13th. Yeah, more than a week ago. They're in a worse spot. They're not in a better spot. They're not in a better negotiation. They don't have more leverage now. That's worse. I don't understand anything what's going on. I know you all, the PATC community, they come on this channel. We have a fun time talking all college football. And once in a while, you expect answers from your host. I have none tonight. I only have questions for the PATC community. Before we get to San Diego State, make sure you go to our merchandise store in the description box. We have new summer t-shirts, Take a look at those. Of course, get your mug, Cloak and Dagger mug. San Diego State is not practicing any cloak, and they might have given themselves the dagger. So don't look at San Diego State as an example of Cloak and Dagger. Make sure you go to the merchandise store. Check out the new merch, t-shirts. Top 25. We did an episode this morning. A lot of people, more people kind of agreed with PATC's top 25 than disagreed. I didn't get a lot of heat. Let me first go through the top 25 real quick. For those who missed the episode, if you missed it, go back and watch it. I think it's episode 245, 244. Number 25, the Iowa Hawkeyes. This is our way too early preseason top 25 poll. 25 Iowa, 24 Texas Tech Red Raiders, 23 UCLA, 22 TCU, 21 Tulane, the best G5 school in the nation. Number 20, North Carolina. Can't rate them any higher than number 20. Can't do it. They don't have a defense. Number 19, Oregon State. Now, if I was convinced, as many of you are, that DJ Ungale would move the needle for the Beavers, I would have Oregon State even higher because I love the coach, Jonathan Smith. That defense is good. Damian Martinez is excellent. Ole Miss. Number 18, Lane Kiffin. He's got the defensive coordinator that he wanted, Peter Golden. We'll see what happens with Ole Miss. Number 17, Oklahoma. Do I have them ranked too high? Gabriel's the quarterback. They lost the best started two offensive tackles. They lost the best receivers. Do I have them rated, Oklahoma, a little too high? Tennessee, number 16. They're not going to be what they were last year. Kansas State, 15. Do I have them too low? Should they be higher? Returning all of their 5 starting offensive linemen. Trey Sanders, they picked up in the portal, Alabama running back. Can he replace some of what Deuce Vaughn did? Of course, the quarterback was hot at the end of last season. Kansas State, the defending Big 12 champions, 15. Do I have them too low? Should they be a little higher? Clemson, number 14. Oregon, 13. New offensive line. They lost Kenny Dillingham, the great offensive coordinator. The new head coach is Arizona State. Number 12, Utah. Returning a whole bunch of players from last year. 2-time reigning, defending, undisputed Pac-12 champions, Cameron Rising. The health of the quarterback is the main question for the Utah Utes going into 2023. Number 11, Notre Dame. You all know how much I love Sam Hartman. And you also know how much I love that Notre Dame. I think they added by subtraction by losing Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator. We'll see what happens. That's a big storyline going to be played out here in 2023. Texas is back. I've got them number 10. Quinn Ewers, Xavier Worthy. They are back. A decent defense now. They're finally... The Longhorns are finally doing some tackling. They did a little bit last year. They just have to tackle a little bit more this year. They should be a top 10 team. USC, number 9. Lincoln Riley has all of his toys. Dorian Singer, transferred from Arizona. The great Heisman quarterback, Caleb Williams. You can go on and on and on. But Alex Grinch, the defensive coordinator from USC. This is it, baby. You have to show improvement now. In 2023, or you will not be the defensive coordinator of the USC the first year they go into the Big Ten. Penn State, number 8. You all know how I feel about the Nittany Lions this year. This is it, Coach Franklin. This is it. This has to be it. You win the Big Ten championship this year. Drew Aller, Singleton, Allen, the great running backs, the great offensive tackle. Penn State, number 8. Washington Huskies. Our pick to win the Pac-12 championship. We could not have them any lower than number 7. Come on. McMillan, Oduze, wide receiver. Michael Penix, the quarterback. They got back their offensive coordinator. They did not lose them to Alabama. We have Alabama number 6. Should I have done a do-si-do with Alabama and Washington? Should I have Alabama 7 and Washington 6? We shall see. Alabama. I think the slide has begun. We'll talk more about Alabama in the days and weeks ahead. Tommy Reese as offensive coordinator with Simpson. Who's going to be their quarterback? Milrose, Simpson, Tyler Buckner, the transfer. I'm not sure any of that is going to work for Bama. Number 5, LSU. Number 4, Florida State. Number 3, Ohio State. Number 2, Michigan. And of course, number 1, the 2-time reigning defending undisputed national champions, Georgia Bulldogs, even with the new quarterback that we haven't seen, Mr. Beck. That's my top 25. Let me know in this show, in the comment section, in phone calls. Let me know how much PATC got it all wrong once again. Nathan Jones, thank you for the super chat. Greg, what is going on with Colorado? The Board of Regents meetings don't give any indication of moving to the Big 12. Great show as always. Thank you, Nathan Jones, for the super chat. The meetings do not give any indication that they're talking about possible realignment to the Big 12. We do know, we did have it confirmed that the June 6th meeting, I know that was 13 days ago, but the June 6th meeting, they did talk about it. We know that May 7th, the Colorado met eye to eye with the Big 12 in a city in the Midwest. We know on May 24th, we might as well open it all up. May 24th in Boulder, Colorado. The administration, I won't give out the exact name, invited some donors to the university. They talked, they hashed it out. They broke up into groups. They talked about it. They did a deep dive. One of the big things that came out of that May 24th meeting was Colorado cannot afford to go backwards. They cannot afford to make less money than they do now. They can't do it. The donors, they're already picking up the tab for Deion Sanders. The donors are already picking up the tab, some more of the tab for the financing of the football stadium, and on and on and on. And what happened after May 24th? May 31st, Colorado had some big whale donor meeting out there in the state of California. So we at Peek Around the Corner been following this day in and day out. The question was about the Board of Regents meeting. Whenever it happens, if it happens, whenever it happens, the meeting, the Board of Regents meeting in Colorado is going to be highly procedural because Colorado has been working on this decision for weeks and weeks and weeks. Now it's all up to the chancellor. It's all up to, because Colorado got the support from the donors. They got the support. They got the institutional support. What they're waiting on is the chancellor, who's waiting on George Kliavkoff to put a deal in front of them. Now, there are rumors out there about that the Pac-12 did get a deal or is about to get a deal presented in front of them. We'll get to that in a second. Everybody hang on. Hang on. Nathan Jones, again, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate your generosity. We at Peek Around the Corner, once again today, we put out a Colorado Board of Regents June 22nd, an agenda item. None of that we can see has anything specific to do with realignment. We put it out there, and once again, it triggered a whole lot of people. I am just putting out a public agenda on Twitter so people can look at it. People are not checking the Board of Regents meeting during the day. So I put it out there. And of course, a lot of people, oh, Greg, just everybody chill out. Chill out. I did not say this was about realignment. We are saying at Peek Around the Corner the June 6th meeting was. We never got confirmed that the June 9th meeting was. We never got confirmed that June 19th meeting today was about realignment, and it wasn't. And June 22nd, we're just putting out the agenda, ladies and gentlemen. That's all that we are doing. We'll get back to Colorado. We'll get back to Holy Smokes Theater here in a second. But thank you once again for the super live chat. Where's the media deal? Thanks for asking that question, NY Grape 87, because that seems to be a question that people are forgetting to ask. Where is it? Now, Jason Shear of Arizona 247 posted, was it this morning? I don't even remember. Was it this morning or last night? I think it was this morning. It doesn't matter. He posted that there was a rumor that he was trying to get it confirmed. I'm paraphrasing it here. That there might be a deal on the table, a Pac-12 media deal for later this week at around $22.5 million. 22.5 for each of those 10 current Pac-12 schools. That would be their media deal. Now, I don't know if he's confirmed it or not. I don't know if anyone else has confirmed it. So put down in your comments, give us a phone call later on in the show. Let me know if that's been confirmed, if other people... I know there's been numbers. There's a $20 million number being thrown out there. $22.5 million. So essentially, if that $22.5 million per school is correct, they will be about $9 million behind when it comes to pure media money, $9 million behind each Big 12 school payout. $9 million. Life of the deal, 5 to 6 years, you're looking at over $50 million. And of course, the most important question is the exposure component of that media deal. Whatever it looks like, whenever we see it, whenever it comes down the chute, what does the media component look like? Because, again, we're sitting here June 19th on a Monday evening, and nobody that I talk to has any clue what is in the deal. None. Zero. Nada. Zilch. Don't have a clue. And I'm going to give you a little hint, a little peek around the corner, a little peek behind the curtain. The reason why these conference media deals, why there's so much information out there previous to the deal being announced is because these media company executives, I'll just put it that way, they leak information. They leak it. They have their reasons, they have their motivations. The reporters, I'm just giving you a peek around the curtain. That's why it's so stunning that nobody knows. Nobody has a clue. No leaks, no information what this Pac-12 media deal is going to look like. Truly. People they do not know. So is there even a deal? Is there something in front of the Pac-12 presidents today? We don't think so. Could there be something delivered them by the end of the week this week? Maybe. But we don't have a clue what it's going to look like. Okay? San Diego State says a source says $19.7 million per school. David Hackett, thanks for putting that out there. I have no idea. None. Our Arizona State money perched still doesn't have, still been telling us, the last update was yesterday, telling us that Arizona State has not seen hard numbers. That was yesterday, June 18th, on a Sunday. So I cannot confirm these rumors of $22.5 million, $19.7 million. I do know, now, if you're looking at like a $20 million, let's say it's $22.5 million. Your conference payouts, your Pac-12 conference payouts would be around $34-35 million per school. At the start of that, probably a part of that media contract. That's basically what the Pac-12 should get right now, although they've had some other issues with Comcast overpaying, Comcast issue and everything else. So basically the Pac-12 might be looking at a flat flat contract from the previous contract. It's going to be very difficult for Colorado to agree with that. From what we were told about the May 24th meeting, it would be basically impossible for Colorado to agree to a deal of just $22.5 million per school media money. Now, I will say this. I guess there's the option, there is the scenario where each Pac-10 school, the 10 current schools, get $22.5 million. Maybe it's a 4 or 5 year deal. And maybe they bring on a San Diego State, which we're going to get to in a second, a San Diego State and an SMU. Maybe they bring them on and they tell those schools, you have to come in at a discount. You're not getting $22.5 million. You're not getting anywhere close. And by the way, some of that playoff distribution money, that new money that's coming in for the expanded college football playoffs, you're going to have to give out a big chunk of that to the other 10 schools to raise up their conference payouts by $3 or $4 million each, something like that. Maybe that's how they do this. Maybe that's threading the needle. Again, as we've been saying here at Peek Around the Corner, all the way back since October 30th, 2022, the day that Brett Yormark got the deal done for the Big 12, the media deal with ESPN and Fox for the Pac-12, it's all going to come down to the exposure component of their new media deal. It's all going to come down to that. Arizona basketball, Colorado, Deion Sanders football, that's what they're going to be looking at. And as Pete Thamel reported, what was it, last week? Saying that Colorado was losing patience. Yeah, I think everyone has lost their patience. I think everybody is asking themselves, did we get duped? Did we get duped by George Kliavkoff? We're going to know the answer here real soon. But did San Diego State get led on? Let's take a look at and that's the question we're asking. What about the visibility, the linear partner? Let's take a look at what Pete Thamel reported earlier today. Sources. The Mountain West Conference sent an additional letter to San Diego State on Friday, informing the school that at this time, they will not approve any exceptions they requested last week, that San Diego State requested last week. An additional month before departure, reduced exit fee, or the ability to pay out the exit fee in installments. Remember, on June 13th, San Diego State sent a letter. I still can't believe they did it. They sent a letter to the Mountain West Conference asking for an extension, for a 1 month extension. Remember, they would have to pay at least $34 million to the Mountain West Conference if they leave the conference after June 30th this year to join the Pac-12 for 2024. So San Diego State asked for an additional month. They wanted to start the conversation of a reduced exit fee. And they wanted the ability to pay out the exit fee, let's say in 4 installments. And right now, at this time, the Mountain West Conference has denied. And I don't think that should be surprising. I mean, what leverage does San Diego State have? Okay. So then the next tweet from Pete Thamel, and this is the money shot of the night. The letter came in response to San Diego State's claiming it had not given formal notice of withdrawal. So I just want to So Friday, today's Monday, so 3 days ago, Mountain West sent an additional letter because they did this back and forth, right? Back and forth. The Mountain West Conference sent an additional letter. They're saying deny, an additional month, reduce exit fee in installments. The letter came. Mountain West Conference did this. The motivation they sent this letter on Friday was in response to San Diego State claiming it had not given formal notice of withdrawal. The Mountain West Conference said in the latest letter that they just sent out Friday that they do not accept San Diego State's claim that they have not given formal notice of resignation from the league. That's the money shot of the night. PATC's money shot. So Mountain West Conference, let's be clear about this. Let's be clear. They're saying no to another month extension. They're not going to go from June 30th, the deadline, all the way to July 30th. Mountain West Conference, at this time, they're saying no to San Diego State. They're saying no to a reduced exit fee. They're saying no to pay whatever San Diego State has to pay out. They're saying no to installment payments. But the money shot is the Mountain West Conference. What they are going by each day now is San Diego State has formally requested that they have sent their withdrawal resignation. They are withdrawing member of the Mountain West Conference. That's San Diego State's status within the Mountain West Conference. They are a member who has officially withdrawn. That's what the Mountain West Conference believes. That's a heavy shot. Remember, you got these bylaws, right? Distribution of money. The money goes to the conference. The conference is the one that shells out the money, the media money and other monies to the schools per the rules of the bylaws. If you are a withdrawn member, money starts getting taken away from your school to help pay down the exit fee. Your president is released from certain committees, some committees of the Mountain West Conference. That is the withdrawn member. San Diego State is a withdrawn member of the conference, according to the Mountain West Conference. Remember this, when San Diego State started sending that letter on June 13th, and I still don't understand why they did it, someone has to sit me down tonight and explain it to me. But when they sent this letter to June 13th, they didn't just send it to the Mountain West Conference. No. San Diego State sent it to all the presidents of the Mountain West Conference. I don't get it. Now, one more thing I want to show, and then we're going to get to your comments and your phone calls. So there was talk on Twitter, and I'm going to bring up one tweet, and I'm not picking on the gentleman or the gentle lady. I don't know who this was. But I saw this over and over and over again. So I wanted to make sure that I want to go through this. Some people believe that San Diego State sent this letter to help them with the leverage, whatever, when it gets to the legal matters. I don't quite understand that, but that's what people believe. But some people believe out there that San Diego State knows they have a landing spot. They definitely know they have a landing spot. So this is why San Diego State sending the letter does not harm San Diego State. Maybe it was clumsy. Maybe it was clunky. But it isn't going to hurt the school because they have a landing spot. I want to show you that's what a lot of people are saying. Now, I want to show you this. Whoops. Here's and again, I'm not picking on the gentleman or the gentlelady. Looks like it's a Washington State Cougar fan, Tacoma Coug. This was a response to me on Twitter. He or she says it makes zero sense for San Diego State is withdrawing from the Mountain West Conference. The Pac-12 is falling apart because the media deal is going to be terrible, and San Diego State is going to without a home to play. 0 cents. 0 cents. Follow the trail to reality, Greg. No one in the media has any idea of the media deal. That's true. That's true. No one has an idea of the media deal. Garrett Garinger says it could be more ridiculous than the time they joined the Big East. Time will tell. Tacoma Coug says, what athletic director with future scheduling, etc., future revenue is going to withdraw from a conference without some sort of assurance they have a new place to land? I'm going to tell you something. This was said over and over again on Twitter. And I'm thinking, holy smokes. I'm going to read that last part again. What athletic director, J.D. Wicker now, what athletic director with future scheduling, etc., future revenue is going to withdraw from a conference without some sort of assurance they have a new place to land? Who's going to withdraw from a conference without some sort of assurance they have a new place to land? An assurance. Who's going to leave a conference without some sort of assurance? Assurance. What are we even talking about? Assurance means nothing. What assurance? The argument is San Diego State would not do this letter. They wouldn't do this if they didn't have an assurance. What is it? What is the value of an assurance? Who's assuring you that you have a landing spot? Big 12 can't assure you San Diego State. Big 12 is looking at the dominoes. They're going to see how they fall. They don't know. Colorado might be the first one. Arizona might be the second one. Maybe it stops at that point. Or maybe nothing happens. San Diego State's not getting assurance from the Big 12. They're not getting assured of a landing spot. There's no standing offer. Are you saying that San Diego State has an assurance with the Pac-12? George Kliavkoff has got his arm around San Diego State and says, you're in, no problem. You have an assurance. You can send that letter off to the Mountain West Conference. Assurance. You do not make a letter of withdrawal, or you don't send a letter that's anywhere close. You do not send a letter that anybody can look at and say, hey, that's a letter of withdrawal. They're withdrawing their membership from our conference. You don't send a letter like that with assurances. You only send a letter. You only send a letter to your conference that you are withdrawing after you got the okay from the conference that you're trying to go to, that you can officially now send an application, knowing that the conference and their presidents are going to vote yes for you to join their conference. After that is done, after that is officially done, then you can send whatever letter you want to the conference that you're in, that you are withdrawing from. Assurances? Assurances mean absolutely nothing, especially at this point in time. So my question, after reading, after Pete Thamel, after Pete Thamel's reporting today, after everything we know, did San Diego State get duped? Are they getting duped? Are they getting promised things that just are not here yet? Did they get duped by some memberships of the Pac-12? Allegedly? I don't know. I'm having a hard time putting my arms around the San Diego State story. And it might be a symptom of a bigger disease that's going on. Again, let me know your comments. I'm going to go to your comments right now. Then I'm going to get to your phone calls. This is the story. San Diego State, Mountain West Conference, denying what San Diego State was hoping for at this time. Mountain West Conference is denying an installment plan, denying a reduced exit fee, and denying the most important thing. Mountain West Conference is denying San Diego's request to put out that deadline from June 30th for another month. Let's get to your comments right now. Ryan Brooks, thank you for your super chat. It's generally agreed that Brett Yormark was smart to jump in line for the media deal. Now it is. Back in October 30th, it was not generally agreed. The minority of people thought that Brett Yormark did a good move. We praised them high and low here at Peek Around the Corner. Episode 83, check it out. October 30th, 2022. We knew at that time Pac-12 was in trouble, but we got raked over the coals. Now it's generally agreed. Still, I still don't believe so. Anyways, it's generally agreed that Brett Yormark was smart to jump the line in media deal. Given Washington State's money situation, wouldn't it be wise to do the same and try to cut in line for the Big 12 spot? Yeah, it would be from Washington State's perspective, but not from the Big 12. Big 12 is, they're waiting for that first domino, and it's Colorado, and then they want Arizona, and then we'll see what happens if they can crack it further open. So that's the situation. Even Washington State wanted to cut in line if they were calling Brett Yormark daily. Brett Yormark, come on, the Big 12 knows. The Big 12 knows. Let's be clear about this. The Big 12 knows how much work Colorado has put into this internally, externally, with the donors, faculty, board, chancellor, athletic director, coaching staff. They know that Colorado has dotted all the I's, crossed the T's. Now Colorado wants to see the Pac-12 media deal. We'll see what happens. So Brett Yormark is interested in Colorado and see if Arizona follows after that. That's the pathway. So would it be wise for Washington State? Yes. Unfortunately, Washington State does not control their own destiny at this time. Thank you so much, Ryan Brooks, for your generosity. I appreciate you so very much. Let's get to more comments. Of course, I'm way behind. No one has blasted me for my top 25. None of the Buckeyes in the chat are upset that I got Michigan 2, Ohio State number 3. Laura Weiss, Texas Tech Red Raider. That's the only explanation for them sending the letter. They think they have a landing spot. And you're correct, Laura. So this is not to you, Laura. I understand what you're saying. But again, let's say you think you have a landing spot. I don't understand how it helps you to send the letter. You're going to be denied. And I know Monavision's going to tell me, Greg, you don't understand the fine arts of negotiations, legalities. And you're right, Monavision. I'm not smart enough to figure it out. Maybe the answer is obvious, and I'm never going to get it. But that letter, how did it help? How did it help? How did it help San Diego State? Woo! Maybe I'm the only one who can't figure this out. That very well could be. Tony, are the Gophers number 26? No, I would probably put South Carolina 26. I got Iowa just ahead of South Carolina. Gophers, maybe 35, 36, something like that. But I can't wait. Minnesota, Nebraska, August 31st. The line is still at 7.5. Gophers favored by 7.5. I want to see that go down to 6.5 before any Gophers should put any money on that game. Let the Cornhuskers bet that line down. Let it go down. Jamie Thornton. Only way I see Memphis is FedEx is still willing to sponsor the Big 12 naming rights at $160 million a year. Brett is a smart businessman. I know that's been brought up for years that FedEx would pay the freight from Memphis to get into the Big 12. We at Peek Around the Corner have had no steam on Memphis. They have never entered into the Holy Smokes College Football Theater here at Peek Around the Corner in regards to the Big 12 saga, trying to poach a Pac-12 school or trying to expand. We just don't have any steam on it. We did an episode today. Over the weekend, Barry Trammell of the Oklahoma did an article. He doesn't think it would be wise for the Big 12 to expand with Memphis. We just don't think it's going to happen. Not at this point. If something changes, we'll say it here at Peek Around the Corner, but we don't see it. Now, the UConn, we have been saying this for weeks. There is legit interest, both sides. UConn has to wait to see how the dominoes will fall. This is it. Last 2 weeks, right? Or will Pac wait another year? They need a media deal. They're going to lose they're going to lose some schools if they don't. They got to get something in front of the Pac. Oh, that's right. PATC Sportsbook. I forgot. We're going to be consistent on this. We have lowered it down again. Now it's minus 1.5. Big 12 is still favored to poach at least one school from the Pac-12. But the line is now minus 1.5. Remember, we were going to bring that line down every week, and we've done so. We're at the start of a new week, second to the last week in June, minus 1.5. We've been saying since February 24th that Big 12 was favored to poach the school from the Pac-12. It's down to minus 1.5. We told you we would not change the formula, so we shall see this week and next week if the Pac-12 can hang on with their 10 current members. We still don't think so at Peek Around the Corner. We have all the reasons not to think so. We've given you a lot of information. Colorado has done everything but flip the switch because they're waiting on George Kliavkoff. It looks like they're going to wait on George Kliavkoff. There's been some reports out there that they're going to see some sort of deal this week. We haven't been able to confirm that at Peek Around the Corner. Conundrum. 2 on the stage, 2 in the first row, minus 1.5. Foolishness. Conundrum doesn't like that we brought the line down to minus 1.5. Still, the Big 12's the favorite to pick off at least one school of the Pac-12. We haven't changed that. We were probably the first to say it on February 24th, and we haven't changed. But if the Pac-12 can survive here in the next couple weeks, they've got a shot. They've got a shot to survive with their 10 current members. Of course, we still believe Colorado's going to move. We shall see. But when we set this line and we told you how we were going to work it, we're going to be consistent. We're going to do it. Unlike other people who have set a line, who say they're going to adjust the line every single week and then suddenly stopped, we're not doing that at Peek Around the Corner. Okay? We don't do that. We don't play those games. Minus 1.5 favorites, Big 12 to poach a Pac-12 school, but the line has gone down. The Pac-12 has been incredibly vulnerable the last few weeks. Unbelievably vulnerable. And yet no school Colorado has yet to ask for a Big 12 application as of June 19th, 6:43 p.m. Central Time. Well, Mr. Monkey says, I'd rather see a real poach line than have you stay consistent with an arbitrary descending line. But it isn't arbitrary. I looked at this, Mr. Monkey says, and this was the time that the Pac-12 was going to be its most vulnerable. This is it. So there's nothing arbitrary about it. I know people disagree with us. And let's be clear, we still have Big 12 the favorite to poach a Pac-12 school. Keep that in mind. It's a point and a half. We just started the week. So hang on. Hang on. Everything is on the knife's edge. Okay, we're going to get to your phone calls in a second. Kyle Visser, I thought you said earlier that you had Penn State winning the Big Ten. How are they behind Michigan, Ohio State? I do have Penn State winning the Big Ten. That's my prediction. By the end of the year, Penn State's going to win the Big Ten. But to begin the season, top 25, I had to have Michigan and Ohio State ahead of them. I don't think there's any... I think that's still logical. I'm not going to put I have the 4 playoff teams I have is Washington, Florida State, Penn State, and Georgia. I'm not just going to have them 1 through 4. It's about what I think is going to happen, but it's also about what you deserve to be ranked. And I don't think Penn State should be ranked ahead against Michigan. Michigan's returning all these players back. I don't think they should be ranked ahead of Ohio State at this time. But by the end of the season, I think Penn State's going to win the Big Ten championship. So those are two different things in my mind. Maybe you can disagree. That's fine. We do that at Peek Around the Corner. We disagree a lot. The cooler has spoken. It's Greg the Heater this year, Tony. It's Greg the Heater. I am going to be hot this year. Last year is gone. It's over. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about my incredibly low winning percentage against the spread. That's over with. That's over with. Washington, Ohio State, Alabama, Minnesota. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Okay, we better get to your phone calls. Tim Prangley, checking for updates. When is Oregon joining the Big Ten? And when are the 4 corner schools joining the Big 12? We're waiting on Colorado. There was no deadline. Act 12 is still going on. We definitely did not give a deadline. I think the most vulnerable part of the Pac-12, after the next couple weeks, if they can hang on, Pac-12 might be able to survive with their 10 current members. So we'll see what Colorado decides. Let's look at what that Pac-12 media deal is going to be. Colorado's not going to wait forever. They're losing their patience. In regards to Oregon, we've been saying for a long time, it was either going to be 5 months from now or 5 years from now. Now it's 2 months from now, 4 years and 9 months from now. That's the range. We believe Oregon and Washington will become Big Ten members. If not now, in the next go-around, because there's strong interest from Big Ten presidents with Oregon and Washington, with the Fox Sports media company. We're not the only ones who have said this. We said this before June 30th, 2022. If anybody was paying attention, we've been saying it ever since. There's not going to be just 2 teams out in the West Pacific coast of the Big Ten. If the Big Ten, when they grow to 20 plus members, it's not going to just be 2 schools west of Lincoln, Nebraska. That's not how the conference, that's not going to be the composition of the conference. That's what we very strongly believe here at Peek Around the Corner. Let's get to your phone calls. You guys know the number. It's 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. It's also on the ticker at the bottom of the screen. You can talk about the top 25, where you agree or disagree with me. San Diego State.
Call from
Western Civic.
Western Civic is on the line. The floor is yours, good sir.
Hey, happy Monday, Greg.
Happy Monday.
I've got something for you here. I've got 7 points on realignment. Well, maybe only 6. 6 will be my thesis statement of where I think things are going, and then my last thing will be a trivia question for you, Greg.
Got it.
And I want you to jump in on all 4 of these if you want to. Or all 7 of these. We'll try and be quick with them. And let's get your take. And then the last thing, I'll be really impressed if you can answer the trivia question. And if you can, we'll get into that briefly. But really, the trivia question's a setup for your next show. But okay, here we go. 7 under-talked about points of realignment. Maybe the first one isn't that under-talked about, but probably the most important thing going on right now. And that is, what's up with Notre Dame? This decision on Notre Dame independence, I think, is the most important thing moving forward in setting the tone for realignment. We're either going to keep Notre Dame independence and much of the traditions that make college football what it is, or we're not. So that's the first thing. Any comment?
It's very, very important. It's extremely important, yes.
Okay. I know Monavision loves no more big expansion without Notre Dame, or no more big expansion without Notre Dame. I hope he's wrong, and I hope last I heard Notre Dame will be independent until 2350. But anyway, the second point, and I haven't heard anybody really talk about this too much, and that's what happened with the AAU. And for any school to be added to the AAU, it must be a unanimous vote. Okay? And I think that's important because all the big players in college football are also in the AAU for the most part. And for all of these guys, and wouldn't you agree, Greg, that we smell football around those latest editions, right? I mean, football was a factor in that.
I think
Don't
so.
you agree?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. And so it implies something that all these AAU universities all came to a unanimous decision about things like USF and Notre Dame and ASU. It suggests, it doesn't prove anything, but it suggests that maybe everybody's down with a plan, okay? Just something to think about. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, there could be some huge coordinated plan in the background. We haven't sniffed it out. I don't think there is at this point, but there could be. Yes. Go on to your points quick here.
Okay. Number 3, this concept of torturous interference, this is nonsense. Okay. This is a nice little legal term. It's not really I don't see how they could have any legal claims, really. No one's under contract. What definitely happened was that the big presidents got a lot of blowback from the PAC institutions about the damage just done to their athletic conference. There's no question, and they may be a little gun-shy about pulling the trigger just sort of in a collegial way. But the notion of torturous interference as an actual legal problem is nonsense. Okay? That's my take on that, having looked at it. Any comment on that?
No comment on that.
Number 4, we talked last time about the concept of going to 4 conferences. We're at 5 power conferences now. We think the big plan, as discussed, will be to 3 conferences, but we hear this recent discussion about going to 4 conferences. And I got to tell you, Greg, when you look at that and you actually try and break it down, like how that could happen, it's nonsense. It can't happen. If you actually break it down and try and put those 4, it just doesn't work. If you want to, the 2 conferences that are sort of related, ACC and the PAC maybe, if you could merge them, trying to shoehorn this Big 12, Pac-12 thing isn't going to work. And if you look at it without some overarching authority, and I challenge anybody to try and break it down from the current situation into 4 power conferences, it can't be done. Not in a reasonable way that I can see. I'm open to being wrong. Any comment on that?
No comment on that.
And the 5th, I am absolutely doubling down that the Magnificent 7 are in fact the SEC 7. Now, I'm going to explain why. Remember, the only piece of intel I got back in August, we're going to 25, and Miami is going to the SEC. That piece of intelligence came to me at the same time. Okay, and then if you look at what the SEC is doing, they're the one conference that is committed to regional integrity. They talk about it all the time. The Big has been busy doing other things and haven't had time to get into this realignment thing as much as they probably should have on the top of their desk. But the SEC has been in defensive mode, seeing what's going on, and they have locked up those 7 schools. Just like you said about the San Diego State, are they really going to do that without knowing where they're going to go? So I really think the Magnificent 7 is a statement from the SEC. We will allow encroachment into the South to Duke and Georgia Tech, but no further. And then again, the only other piece of intelligence this guy gave me, and it's such a weird phrase. I mean, I asked him about it months ago. He said the Southern Mountain Schools. Why don't you just say Arizona schools? And I sent him a thing, and all he sent me back months ago was smiley face emojis. So, yeah, such a weird phrase.
Okay, let me make a point. Let me make a point on 5, and then get to your trivia question.
Sure.
I understand you believe that the Magnificent 7 will become the SEC 7. I don't believe that for a moment, because I don't believe Greg Sankey, ESPN, and all those current schools want to double dip in Virginia, want to dip in North Carolina. They have no reasons to do that. They're not going to get enough juice, enough value out of it, more than one edition in those states. They'll take one or the other, but they're not going to take 2 from Virginia, 2 from North Carolina. It makes absolutely no economic sense for SEC to do that. Go now to your trivia question.
I would agree with you on that, but I would normally agree with that. But if you look at what Sankey's, they are absolutely committed to regional integrity, and so I think they've made that decision that they're going to do that. So this brings me to my thesis and then the trivia question. Yes. The thesis is this. Okay, I really do think they're going to go to 3 conferences. I don't know when. It's going to be 25. But I think it's really going to happen all at once when the ACC becomes available. Whatever it takes to break up the ACC, I think that's when you'll see all the PAC schools move. I think that's when you'll see all the ACC schools move. And that is my realignment thesis statement.
Got it.
Now, again, adding the 2 Arizona schools, again, they want a little east-west action too. They're warm weather states. They're not slave states, but I guess, putting immigrants in pink underwear, under the sheriff is close enough. Okay, let's go to the trivia question, and I'll be really impressed. And I want to ask the indulgence of your national audience, because you sure have been getting a lot of calls about us folks out in the mountain region, and that's because our whole enchilada's at stake here. And I've always said it, we mountain folks, we are passionate about football out here. We've just never had the population that you have back east. And so we ask your indulgence. But my trivia question is this, and I'll be extremely impressed, and we'll go into this next time about, opening day in the Utah-Florida game and why that's so important. But here's the question, Greg. What Mountain West school played an integral part in Utah's share of the 2008-9 national championship, making it such that it really is indisputable. That's the trivia question. Which Mountain West school played an integral role in Utah's share of the Natty?
Air Force.
Incorrect. But we'll answer that next time on your next call. And thanks for being there, Greg.
Thank you for calling. Appreciate it.
All right.
Talk
to you soon.
No more war. Okay, yeah, I see in the chat a lot of people are throwing out numbers, 19.7 million. I don't know where this information is coming from. I know the 22.5 million came from Jason Shear. He doesn't have that confirmed.
Call from
Eric, go Cougars.
Eric is on the line. Go Cougars. The floor is yours, good sir.
Hey, how's it going, Greg?
Doing good, doing good.
Hey, I always enjoy following Western Civic. It's a great comedy act. I enjoy the comedy. The sad thing, I don't think he realizes it's comedy. The question I have is, on that trivia question, is that for women's ballet? Is that synchronized swimming? Is that women's gymnastics? Is that
I think that was Utah's. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I never won the national championship in football, basketball, or baseball.
Maybe it's when they went undefeated with Urban Meyer. I don't know. I'm not sure what it was. My guess was Air Force, no matter what the question was going to be.
Well, I'm just wondering, is it for synchronized swimming, maybe ballet, or maybe women's gymnastics? They won a few national championships there. Maybe the ski team. Maybe he could clarify that, because I didn't win no national championship in football, as far as I know, or basketball. Yeah. The question I have is, I know I brought up this before and no one had a good answer. One thing I found interesting today is the Mountain West actually rejected San Diego State's statement that it wasn't a withdrawal letter. They say they're not accepting it. They're standing by the fact that they officially withdraw.
Yeah, we put it up. I got it up on the screen again. We covered it at the start of the show. The Mountain West said in the latest letter that they do not accept San Diego State's claim that they have not given formal notice of resignation from the league.
Why they would do that, I don't necessarily know, because it will be harder for them to then take the whole $34 million instead of 17. But at the same time, because they're saying they did withdraw now within the 30 days, but at the same time, I see why they did it. It would be hilarious if San Diego State, after all this happened, ended up kind of like a man with no nation, so to speak.
Yeah.
I know I brought this up before, and I don't expect you to have all the answers any more than anyone else, but I did a little research, and I've gotten conflicting answers. But my understanding is if a conference drops below 4 or 5 members, one of your great listeners stated this, that had looked into it when I asked the question. My understanding is if the conference drops below 4 or 5, and the key word here is charter members. So it has to be original members. In other words, you can't just backfill with a whole bunch of new members and say you have the required number. My understanding is you have to have at least 4 or 5 charter members, which is original members of a conference, or you lose your certification of a conference. I do know when BYU decided to leave the WAC conference, which was like a 16-team conference. It just got too big to manage and was too many mouths to feed of some schools that didn't bring anything to the table economically, so they decided to form the Mountain West Conference. TCU was one of the ones that went with them from the WAC on that, by the way, that they did lose their certification, their automatic bid in basketball for a couple of years because they were technically a new conference, even though they took some of the other old conference members with them. And they did mention something at that time that you have to have so many chartered members or you're basically a new conference. So I would like to really get to the bottom of how many members can be left in the Pac-12 without them losing their certification as a P5 or as a conference, and without losing their automatic NCAA bid, because I've heard contrary things. But I do know you have to keep so many chartered members. You can't just backfill members. You have to have so many original members. So that would be an interesting thing to find out. One question I had, Greg, did you ever find out for sure what the actual reason, like the specific exact reason, was for Colorado canceling the meeting last time?
On June 9th? No, we did not. I know there's some reports out there that other people, I know there was other media company that reported that possibly it was an added voice to the conversation in regards to realignment, and that's why they had to cancel it. But we were not able to confirm that. We did confirm at Peek Around the Corner, take it how you want. June 6th was a very important, that was the day that the Board of Regents did discuss possible realignment. But we can't confirm any of these other dates.
And then the other thing I found out is everyone keeps bringing up June 30th, June 30th. The only one that actually, the Big 12 does not have a June 30th date. The Pac-12 doesn't even have a June 30th date. As far as I know, the only one that technically has a June 30th date is San Diego State. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, there is no, other than San Diego State, the June 30th, there is no hard deadline on this saga. So that's why we haven't come out and said Act 12 ends on June 30th. We're not willing to say that. So,
and technically, I think that the Big 12 could go as late as late July, first part of August, and still add teams for the 24-25 season. I don't think they're under a hard 30th deadline. But now, of course, there's a certain point that they're not going to be able to do that. But I personally think they could go into late July, very early August, and still add teams. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, these schools aren't going to wait till the end of the summer.
No.
They might not even wait to the end of the week. This thing isn't going to go to August. This is not going to go that long. I know that's easy. I mean, we're at June 19th. I mean, these schools have budgets. There's so much involved in this. Let me just focus in on Colorado. Then we'll get to another phone caller, Eric. Colorado.
Okay, I got one last quick question. When you get done, I promise won't take more than 30 seconds.
Colorado did not do all of this, what they've done. And I know some people don't believe that they've done all that they've done. They didn't do all of this work internally. They didn't do all of this to make a decision in the middle of August. So their decision's going to come here sooner rather than later. There's no question about it. In our minds, what we've been told. So I'm just going to answer it that way.
I agree 100%. And one last thing, if what Jason Shear is reporting is true, which is around, I think he said something around $22 million a year per school, and that their announcement's going to be sometime this week. If that's true, if it's $22 million a school, and that's without Yelp's payment to the cable company, and that's probably without the $15 million in production costs that would go to Apple, I guarantee you at least 2, if not 4 teams are going to jump if it's that low of number. They will have no economic choice but to do so. Many of these schools are already in over their head or drowning financially anyway, as far as their athletic budget goes. If it's 22 or 23 million a year, and that doesn't include, like I say, the payments they have to make, so then it gets down to 15 to 16 million per school. You're going to see 2, if not 3 or 4 schools go, in my opinion. And then just, Greg, again, we love the show. Me and my wife, Rolentria, both love the show. Give the little general our praise for helping you run a great show. And God bless you, and you have a great week. And I hope your father had a wonderful Father's Day.
Good. Yep.
And,
Thank
go
you.
Cougs, go Gophers.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Great phone call.
You have a good day.
Yeah, thank you.
Austin.
I'm sorry. Who's calling?
This is Austin.
Okay, can you hold 1 second? 1 second.
Yeah, not a problem.
Ryan Brooks, can San Diego State join in 25 and not worry about the extra payout? yes, they can join in 25 and not worry about the extra payout. However, there's two issues with that. One, the Mountain West Conference believes that San Diego State has filed their withdrawal notice. That's one problem. The second thing is, okay, so they don't pay this exorbitant exit fee for, and then they join in 2025. But then again, they missed the money that they were going to get between what they were going to get from the Pac-12 versus what they're going to get from the Mountain West, and there's a pretty big gap in there anyways. San Diego State would love to join for 2024 and pay the $17 million. That's what they want to do. And right now, it doesn't look so good. But thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate your generosity once again. Okay, sir, caller, the floor is yours.
So I was wondering, with San Diego State basically out, do you think the Mountain West adds MWC, or they go Sacramento State or Grand Canyon?
That's a great question. And that's a great question. I hope it's North Dakota State. We haven't gotten any juice on that. We have no intel on that. But I hope it's North Dakota State. They always have been. I shouldn't say always have been. For the last so many years, handful of years, they have had interest in the Mountain West. They have not had interest in joining the MAC, right? They would be They would be a MAC member today if they had made the phone call to the MAC, but they haven't. But the Mountain West is a whole different kettle of fish, according to North Dakota State. And that's a great phone call, no intel, but North Dakota State in the Mountain West, I know they don't bring that market numbers and everything, but man, do they bring a brand. It could grow in the Mountain West. The caller got off the line. Those North Dakota State fans would travel to those Mountain West states. I would love to see it happen. But again, no intel that it is happening yet.
Call from
JB.
JB. All right, the floor is yours, good sir. Nice to hear from you.
How you doing, Greg?
Doing good.
I got several things here. Number one, can you name the former Big Ten school if it changed its mind and went big-time football again and big-time D1 sports? The Big Ten would automatically have to take that.
You talking Chicago?
Yes, it's in the Big Ten charter. You are correct, sir.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah. I don't think well, we'll see if that ever happens.
No, it probably would never happen.
Yeah.
Why all the fuss over San Diego State and the Mountain West Conference? San Diego State is their biggest market.
Yeah.
They're playing hardball. They don't want to lose it.
Yeah. Good point.
San Diego State didn't understand the assignment. The assignment was chill out.
Yes.
When it all calms down, we'll get to you.
Yes.
Don't rush.
Yes.
And they didn't understand the assignment.
Yes.
If the Big 12 is flat or less, Colorado for sure is gone, and there'll be others to join them. So.
Yeah.
And can you ask?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Greg, can you tell me why does everybody think their school has a chance to get into the Big Ten?
I don't know if does everybody think that. What are some fan bases that you're thinking about when you say
like you? Well, number one, Utah.
Yeah.
And then somebody keeps talking about BYU. It's like
it's not. Yeah, it's not going to be BYU. Utah. The question is, if the Big Ten grows to 24 by the middle of the 2030s, then some of these schools would potentially have a chance. But not for a 20-school conference. So I would say Utah would be a long shot, but I think they would be on the board. Just because the Big Ten's going to expand at some point towards the West once again. BYU won't have a chance. A lot of schools won't have a chance. I think Brett Murphy has put out obviously Brett McMurphy knows so much more than I do and anybody else that I know of about this stuff. But he's put out a pretty good, he's given us everybody a window on the schools that the Big Ten are targeting in the next expansion. Right. Oregon, Washington, potentially California, Stanford, Miami, Florida, Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia, potentially Clemson. I think that would be at the bottom of the list. But he's pretty much, of course, Notre Dame. He's pretty much, those are the schools that are in line possibly for further Big Ten expansion in the next 10, 15 years.
That list makes total sense to me. Not the ones that keep clamoring, that keep clamoring. Do you ever hear commentators talk about relegation when it comes to, what school would ever vote for relegation? The possibility of being relegated.
No, that would never happen. It's just
it'll never happen.
No one would agree with that. There's no incentive, motivation. The donor, it's just not. It's not going to happen. I read that stuff once in a while, and I just kind of pass over it. Don't even comment on it.
And all of this, Greg, is because when you put bean counters in charge of college athletics, which they've done now, they don't know how to administrate. They know how to count money and maybe possibly raise money, but they don't know how to handle anything else, so they screw everything else up. And finally, why is all this happening? Again, people, pay for play is coming down the tracks, and it's getting closer and closer and closer.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
You got it. Great call. Great call, JB. It's true. That's why all this is happening. These student athletes are going to get direct deposits, direct money coming from the conference of the schools, and all these schools want to better position themselves to be able to do it, to be able to recruit, entice the best student athletes to their schools and compete at the highest level. That's why all this is going on.
Call from
Monavision.
Monavision, Mr. Buckeyes in the house. He's going to yell at me because I had Ohio State as number 3 in the way too early poll. He believes the Buckeyes should be at least number 2. What's going on, good sir?
I don't actually believe the Buckeyes should be in the top 5. We have to figure out the quarterback first.
Okay. All right. I shouldn't put words in your mouth. Sorry.
That's the table first we got to worry about. That's the position we need to worry about. But
how about the offensive line? I know you guys got some late transfer help.
Yeah, we got some late transfers. Honestly, the offensive line last year was one of our weak points, which is surprising with how much hype was behind that. But I think that was a scheme issue. I think that was a scheme issue more than anything else. But one, I want to let Western Civic know that tortious interference is a thing. It's a very real thing, and it's a very costly thing to litigate. So, yes, the attorneys of schools and conferences are going to be very aware of that and plan accordingly. Second thing, San Diego State.
Yeah.
I know this seems odd to people, but San Diego State is doing exactly what they wanted to do.
Well,
And the Mountain West is doing exactly what San Diego State wanted them to do.
Well, wait. Before you go any further, because at some point you're going to confuse me because you're going to be talking. You're going to be talking too intellectually for me. You just said San Diego State did what they wanted to do, but did they do what they should have done? And that is to keep their mouth shut for a little bit longer.
No.
Okay.
And I'll break it down into layman's terms as best I can.
Yeah.
Greg, but the situation is San Diego State's going to posit it that we didn't quit. We asked a question and you fired us. And that's your legal argument right there that they have. Their argument is we didn't resign. The Mountain West argument, oh, yes, you did. And San Diego State saying, no, we didn't. Not only did we not resign, you pulled us from all these boards. You're already withholding money. You're treating us like an employee that was fired. And because we're an employee that was fired, we don't owe you anything to get out of the conference. Because we never left, you pushed us out. And the reason they did it the 13th as opposed to the 30th is it shows better intent on their part that 2 weeks out they would be asking questions and not resigning. So the crux of this argument is going to be, we didn't quit, you fired us. Does that make more sense?
Yes, it would make a whole lot more sense if I could read the letter, which, you know, like the official letter. I just think, I don't know. I mean, I think I can possibly get to the point where I can sort of get there when it comes to it didn't hurt San Diego State, but I don't see how it helps San Diego State. I still don't get it.
Okay. So worst case scenario, Greg, they have to pay him $17 million. That's the worst case scenario for San Diego State. They're still getting the lower buyout. Best case scenario for San Diego State is the Mountain West kicked us out. We didn't resign, and we don't owe them anything.
Why isn't the worst case scenario San Diego State is paying $34 million or whatever that number is after June 30th?
Well, that would be the worst case scenario. But if the judge decides that yes, it's a valid resignation, they owe $17 million to the Mountain West.
Okay.
If the judge decides not, they don't owe anything to the Mountain West. But what will probably happen is what happens in all litigation. These two sides will come together and work out an agreement, and San Diego State is probably going to pay less than $17 million when it's all said and done.
All right. So what happens if, I suppose, what if the Pac-12 media deal comes in real low? They can't expand. San Diego State is not part of the Mountain West Conference in 2024. A few teams get poached from the Pac-12. Pac-12 has to backfill. They backfill with San Diego State, but the money's nowhere close. Nowhere close to what the Pac-12 was going to get after they get poached. That's the worst case scenario, right? They're out of the Mountain West Conference. They're in a very diluted Pac-12 conference, and they have to pay $34 million. Sure,
they're in a diluted Pac-12 conference, but they're not going to have to pay $34 million
because of this letter. That Mountain West, okay.
They either resigned or they didn't resign. If the judge says you resigned, they resigned before July 1st. They're not going to get that $34 million penalty. But even in a diluted Pac-12, Greg, they're going to make a higher payout than the Mountain West. And not only are they going to make a higher payout than the Mountain West, they're going to get the chance for playoff revenue in basketball and football. So they get to keep all their postseason revenue. So I see a lot of people in chat were like $22.5 million. That's not enough for the Pac-12. Well, for schools like Oregon State and Washington State, that's sufficient. Oregon and Washington and Utah, the top brands, the only way they can make this work is it's incentive-based. They would have to host a playoff game, win a playoff game.
Yeah.
Those sort of scenarios, they could get towards the $60 million a year mark in total payout for just those schools.
Yeah.
to, yeah, it can work for the top brands. The little brands are the brands that have nowhere to go anyway.
Yeah.
So they would obviously accept $22.5 million. You know, and like you said, San Diego State and SMU or Colorado State, whoever joins, is probably going to be junior members and kicking some points up to the big dogs to get that entry into a P5 before the whole thing blows up.
That's a great comment, but still, like a school like Washington, Oregon, Utah, there's still, you do have to worry about the bottom end of your conference becoming so weak economically that they can't keep up with the bottoms of the other conferences, and eventually it's going to drag down your conference. I mean, that's sort of like what Texas and Oklahoma, kind of what their perception was of the Big 12. So it's still going to, but I understand what you're saying. Oregon could make up some of that lost revenue. Washington could, but man, for them to sign this, if it's a $22.5 million media deal, wow, and plus the exposure is not going to be as good as the Big 12. Man, this is very delicate times for a lot of these Pac-12 schools.
Right. And to your point, I think I've mentioned this before. This is the last Pac-12 media deal.
Yeah.
If they get this deal done, there's not going to be a Pac-12 in 5 years when it expires. And I think everybody knows that, and everybody is making the arrangements they need to make to try and make themselves the most attractive target towards a conference like the Big Ten, or to figure out the best way moving forward and reduce their financial budgets, especially in terms of athletics, should they get relegated to a conference like the Mountain West.
Yeah.
Or a reformulated Pac, whatever it's going to be. But I just wanted to put that out there. I don't think San Diego State's crazy. I think there's a method to their madness.
Let's hope.
We have to see how it all plays out. I could be wrong, and they could just be complete idiots over there. But you have to think at some point you got some intelligent people working at a university. But
yes,
yeah. But Oregon has got no chance to get into the Big Ten anytime soon, so they're going to have to stay put for 3 to 5 years.
Got it. Thank you, sir. Right. Appreciate it. Yep. Great phone call.
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate. Brian is in the house. The floor is yours, good sir.
Hey, how are we doing today?
Doing good. Monavision took me to school. He taught me some stuff. We'll see how it plays out.
He did. In fact, I was listening in on that, paying attention. I don't think I will try and counter anything he said.
Yeah.
I'll just say I think SDSU is in an extreme pressure cooker. Realignment is moving faster and is more consequential now than it's probably ever been and will ever be again once this plays out. In a pressure cooker, smart people can make mistakes. You can make a mistake when you don't have any precedent to know exactly what to do in a situation, and I think that they have made a strategical blunder. But we'll see. Maybe it's all under control and they'll be fine. I just think there's not enough room out west for more schools other than what's going to be pulled from the Pac.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think that everyone right now is looking east, and a lot of the Pac. I think you're right on the odds. Number one, I think your odds of movement are right that it's going down.
Yeah.
It's being proven. I think that the Big 10, Big 12, and SEC are looking eastward. I don't think the eyes of the networks or these conferences are on the Pac anymore. And I honestly don't know where that's going to go. I don't know if they're going to sign a short-term deal or whatnot. But in terms of your story of Memphis, they're a very interesting school. Put that much money of state money into a stadium. There's some smoke there. There's some fire there. There's some interest. But I don't think you're going to see anything like that until after the Power 5 vote, which kind of leads into, someone was talking about 7 things that aren't talked about yet. He didn't list the Power 5 vote, which in my opinion is the number one aspect of realignment right now that does not get talked about.
because it's kind of complicated and hard to understand for folks, and to explain it, it's just circular. But in my opinion, that's pushing everything.
Yeah.
When you look at a pro rata that says, oh, any P5 school is fine, Big 12. Well, it's not, because they're all equal in value.
Yeah.
They're equal in one thing and one thing only, and that's that they have a Power 5 vote. They've probably already been tallied for the vote that the networks want, so they're safe with that. And if you start adding in new schools that don't quite have the same means, are they going to vote yes, or are they going to vote no?
Yeah.
So the networks do not want more G5 schools right now. So a school like Memphis, because of its geography, is a great pick in the future for the Big 12. Great pick. I definitely think they're going to get in eventually. It's just not going to be until after the Power 5 votes on whatever the networks want them to vote on. One last thing. I know you said something about you didn't think, and I hate to have to defend Western Civic, but on this case I might have to. The Magnificent Seven, as we call them, you don't think that that's all SEC bound, huh?
I don't think so. I've
It's fine if you don't believe it. It's hard to believe.
Nah, I
it's
don't
pretty crazy. It's
I don't believe
unprecedented.
It.
But if you remember the timeline, real quick, and then I'll end on this because I know people like you and keep it moving. But if you remember the timeline, there was two people that talked about this. There was like an article on them, right? Am I remembering this correct?
There was Ross Dellinger, then Brett McMurphy.
And the first one did not say who the schools were, right?
Yeah, Ross Dellinger broke the news, did not say who the schools were. Yep. Then Brett McMurphy named the schools.
Yep, I think Miami's leak was to Dellinger, because they didn't want necessarily, to have the smoke of being part of this or whatever. But I think McMurphy, who is a man who has a lot of saved up favors over time, made a phone call, cashed a favor. Whether it was someone who wanted that outed or whether it was just they owed him, he got that information and just came out very soon after that and just blew that away.
I don't think I don't think anybody. I don't think. This is just a guess. I don't think Brett McMurphy made a phone call, or maybe even Ross Dellinger, because they were at the ACC meetings when all this broke that morning.
Do you think that they timed that together?
No, but I don't know. But what I'm saying is I don't think. I'm not sure if a phone was used. They were in the room. They were in the at the place that all this was breaking. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that you probably know a lot better than me. I'm just thinking the way that came out was very unusual. Usually you get one guy to bring something out because he was someone used him to put out the word. And I should say them, because Heather Dinich is oftentimes the person used for this in the Big Ten. She's very well connected there too. Mm-hmm. But in this case, it just seemed like Brett McMurphy didn't want to be left out of the story, because in my opinion, it's a very big deal. And I consider him smart to want to be in on it. But if you're saying that they were both there and he didn't have to use a favor to get it, then I'll take your word on that. But
I'm not saying that either. I'm not. I have no idea how they got this information. I'm just saying we got to remember when this stuff was breaking. This was at the start of the ACC spring meetings, and those reporters were all over that place. That's all I'm saying. I don't know how it broke. I don't know where they got the information. So
yeah, and I just found it to be rather interesting because it was an exact lineup of schools that fall within the footprint that the SEC would be willing to keep. Now, yes, it has doubled up schools: North Carolina State, Virginia Tech. But that could also be due to internal politics of those states, where it's like you either take both or you're getting nothing.
Sure.
All or nothing. Sometimes you pick all, even though that may not be the most comfortable choice. It's better than nothing.
Yeah,
and we'll see.
Yeah. All right.
I would just suggest to people.
I'm just not buying it. That's all. I'm not buying. But I don't think the SEC is going to have Florida, Florida State and Miami, Florida. Then 2 in North Carolina and 2 in Virginia. I don't see it happening. I could be wrong. We'll see.
I always take it back to the Power 5 votes, though. If they only take a few schools out of these conferences, the schools backfill that creates new P5 votes does not get the networks what they want.
Yeah.
At some point in time, the networks are going to pay for a large move because that's what consolidates the votes. Just my opinion.
Yep. No, that it's logical. No question about it. No question about it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right, man. I appreciate it, buddy. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too. Larry Pilgrim, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate your generosity. Pac-12 only receives $21 million right now from Fox and ESPN. Yep. Again, if this $22.5 million figure is correct, that's why we've been saying it's a flat. It's not a decrease. Is that good enough? Again, we believe a lot of it has to do, or almost all of it has to do with the exposure part of this deal. Is that going to be enough to keep Colorado in? We're going to find out, I think, pretty quickly. But yes, if that number is correct, $22.5 million, if that can get confirmed, and no one has confirmed it yet, that's a flat. That's not a decrease in payouts. So, interesting times ahead. We're going to close it up for this show tonight. A little bit shorter show than usual. I've got some other family responsibilities that I have to get to. So I do apologize for the shorter show. Thank you for coming into the house that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kirk Gowdy Avenue. We talked about all college football, top 25. San Diego State, did they make a blunder or do they know what they're doing? We shall see. We shall see. Interesting week ahead of us. Peek around the corner. Before you leave our show, make sure you subscribe to our show. That's the only way you get notified. Check us out at Plug Empire at Twitter. Smash that like button if you liked our content tonight. And share the video with your family and friends. Thank you so much for the generous donations. Thanks for all of us joining here on short notice. Keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a swivel as we head towards the end of June. A lot of drama ahead. Cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. Until next time. From all of us at PATC to all of you, please, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.